Hello everyone, welcome to the Shifted Metal 2.0 channel. Today we are at G3 Auctions in Castleford in Yorkshire, and I thought I'd do a video on how to buy a car at auction, because a lot of people watch these videos, they're very interested. Even if you're a trader and you've never bought from auction before, kind of talk you through the process of how you get yourself an account, come and check out the cars and how you bid, and some of the tips, if I've got them, on how to do it as successfully and risk-free as possible. When it comes to bidding at an auction, you're going to want your bidder's number like I've got here, and for that you're going to need an account. So usually you will sign up for an account online. Some places will let private customers come in, some places it's just trade. I think G3 have now closed their private entries and it is trade only, but it's quite simple to get yourself set up. You need to do that before you turn up, and you'll want to do that before you turn up because you'll need to do some research as well. Right, so once you've registered with your auction of choice, you should be able to log in online, and what you need to be doing is doing your research beforehand. You want to look through the auctions that you're going to go to and look for all the type of cars that you think you might want to sell. Make yourself a short list, basically, of those cars. Do your research, do your background checks. I highly recommend using something like Vehicle Score, where you can bring it up. You get a score based on the age, mileage, MOT history, many other things. And it will give you an idea of how good that car is, what the history like, how well it's being looked after. Then what you want to be doing is making yourself a little list, finding out exactly what you think those cars are worth. Now, if you don't have an Auto Trader package that gives you a retail rating, you can still go on, put the values in, or just look for another car, same make, model, and trim level, similar sort of mileage, and it will give you an idea of what that car's going to be worth. And the safest way to do it is think about how much margin do I want to make from that car. So let's say it's £500. If the car is worth £3,000, then you know that the maximum you need to be spending out on that car is £2,500. Just don't forget the fees. You'll be able to speak to your auction house, find out exactly how much they're going to be. When you start off, you're probably going to be on a lower grading band, so the fees might be a bit more expensive, and as you build up and start buying more cars, you start getting discounts. It's important to remember that, because when you do come to buy the car, there's probably going to be £300 or £400 worth of fees on top, which if you've bid £2,500 and you pay £400 worth of fees, never mind collecting it, putting some fuel in it and fixing the car up, you're not going to have any profit left, are you? So research really is your #1 priority. And I always like to make myself a very analog list: the registration, the lot number, the model. I put the retail rating in. If you do have an account with Auto Trader where you pay on a monthly package, you can get a retail rating which tells you how popular that car is in your area within 50 miles. So I put that in as well because it's just handy data to have. And I will put in what the retail value for that car is. Now, the good thing when you get a catalogue from the auction, or when you're looking online, is they will tell you prices based on CAP HPI. CAP stands for current auction price, and basically they'll take the data from all the auctions, what cars are selling for, and give you an idea of what that car should be worth. It's not always gospel, don't rely on it completely, but it will give you a guide. So the car we're going to look at today is a Hyundai i20 Active. It's a 1.2, it's red, and we've got quite a lot of information here. So it tells us we've got 2 keys, it tells us how long the MOT is, which is, we've got another about 3 months left on it, so you need to factor in that if you're going to be selling this, you're probably going to want to do an MOT and possibly some MOT repairs. It tells us that the retail value, if it's on your forecourt where you're selling it, is £3,850. Now, the way things are, I would do your own research, because you might find that cars actually sell for a bit more than that. You might think that car is actually worth £4,500 in the current market. You might start going to auction and you're bidding all the time and you can't get anywhere. You just can't get anywhere near the prices because someone else is bidding them. You can't understand why. It's probably because they've worked out the true retail value and they know what they can make from it. There's another 3 prices on here. So there's cap clean, cap average, and cap below. That's just describing the car. So if it's in a clean condition, it looks like as you'd expect it for that age and mileage, then that is the price. So on that car, the cap clean is £2,075. Then you've got cap average, you know, it's not perfect, but you know, just to give you an idea, is £1,625. And if cap below average is £1,175. So this is where going and checking the cars out for yourself, or if you can't go in person, really studying the pictures. But ideally when you're starting out, you want to go to the auction, check the cars out yourself. So we'll go and have a look, see what I look for when I'm looking at a car. Right, so we found our Hyundai i20, which is lot number 16. We walked through the aisles, so they're all numbered. They've got stickers on the windscreen, so you can see the numbers. We're going to have a look around this car now and just double check everything is how we'd want it to be for us to be spending our hard-earned money on it. First thing I usually do is, other than having a quick glance at the car as we're walking up to it, have a look at the sheet on the screen here, because it gives you loads of information. A lot of it will be on your auction catalogue, but there's going to be other things that you might want to check. So, for example here, engine running okay, it's got an X. Now, that might scare you off, but you want to listen to this car, see whether it's got any warning lights on. Sometimes the keys are available for you to start them up. It's always good, especially if you're looking at one car in particular. Make sure you're next to that car when they fire it up to start moving it through the auction hall, because you'll hear if the timing chain rattles, if it splutters into life, if it takes forever, if they've put jump back on it, it's going to give you loads of information that you're going to want. So hang around when it starts up, and then when it starts driving off, don't be afraid to speak to the driver and say, how's the car seem? Is the clutch okay? Do the brakes seem okay? And usually, they're all very friendly people, and they will let you know what's happening with it. And you also have a lean in through, look at the dashboard and see if there's any warning lights on. That aside, when it comes to checks before all that happens, we'll have a look at this. So it tells us the mileage, we can check that's the same as what we were expecting on our bit of paperwork. That's what matches up with all our research that we've done beforehand. This one says the V5 is not present, which doesn't worry me too much personally, but it might do for you. There are plenty of services where you can still tax a car. You can still sell a car without a V5 using a V62 form. We won't worry about that too much for now. Got our MOT, tells us how many services we've got. So we've got 10 on this car, tells us the depths of our tyres and everything. And you can even use the QR code, scan that, and it will give you a report a bit more in depth from this information that we've got here. The great thing about Vehicle Score as well is that you can save it as a quick link on your phone like I have, and it's really easy to quickly check a car and get loads of information. So I'm going to enter our registration of this car on our forecourt, which is Charlie Uniform 17 X-Ray Bravo Kilo. It gives us our score from 1 to 999. Ours is 700. We can check whether it's ULEZ compliant. This one is, amazingly, despite being a diesel. We can go through, check all the MOT history, we can check our mileage graph, see whether that's always going up or at least staying the same, not dipping down. But most importantly, if you're thinking about actually buying that car, it always pays to do a history check. And Vehicle Score have got you covered. They've got their full history check, which is £9.95. Or if you want some assurance that if they don't find anything wrong with the car, you can get your money back, a refund cover, it's £13.86. Now, either of those, you can get a 20% discount using my code SHIFTINGMetal20. You don't have to use the paid service. There's loads and loads of information on there to help you make a decision on whether that's the car for you to buy. So then we'll start having a look around the car. This one obviously is red, and one thing I say with red cars is you want to check the paint thoroughly. Lack of peel tends to be an issue on red cars, and they fade as well. It depends whether it's a two-pack car, I think this could be right, where you've got basically just one colour on and you polish it up versus whether you put a base colour on and you put a lacquer on. Either way, when it comes to red cars, there's something to do with the pigment, and they can be problematic. Either they'll really fade, or the lacquer peel starts to come off. Yeah, so what you need to look out for, is there any lacquer peeling off this car? Which actually, looking around this one, it looks pretty good. Obviously, we've got a bit of a scuff down here, and this is where you're gonna make a judgment for yourself. An easy mistake to make when you're starting out is you think you're gonna need to get that painted because, you know, it needs to be perfect. It doesn't. You know, this is a 11-year-old car. No one's expecting it to be perfect, and if they are, they're probably not the type of customer you want. That, you could quite easily get yourself a little £10 touch-up pen, make it look 100 times better, take your eye off it, and probably most people are going to come buy this are going to be quite happy with that. So, we'll have a look around. We have got a little bit of a dent here, and it has broken through the paint again. That, to me, is probably more of an issue than that is on the back, because that I would like to get dent person out to get that out. Now, that's usually about 40 quid to 60 quid. I've heard horror stories of people paying about 150 quid. Our prices that we pay are about £45, and that will cover all the dings on the car. So if there's any others that you pick up going around, they will spend that time and do that on the car. There is a crack in the paint there, so that's never going to be perfect, but that just catches your eye, and you probably want that to be a bit better. So you need to factor that in when it comes to your prices when you're bidding. Things, again, like headlights looking hazy across the top here, you can get too worried about that. Run a polisher over that, and they will clean up really nicely. You want to look, obviously, all over the car, so from every angle, on the quarters, side on. Also get down and check at different levels, because especially when you're in an auction, you might find that there's a big dent down the bottom of the door that you just can't see when you're standing up and looking down at it like this. So you want to be getting down at every angle if you can. When they're lined up like this, it's tricky to do that, but that's when you need to check it when it's going through the auction hall. So once we've had a look around, we're going to have a look at the tyres. We already know that the tread should be good, but you can have a look in the side as well and see whether they're perished, cracked, whether they've got any nicks in them. These ones don't look too bad. We can see they've put some tyre shine on here for today. But what you want to look out for is loads of cracking, perishing in here, because that will often happen when the car doesn't get driven very often, which isn't really a problem. But if they are perished, it's going to be an MOT failure and you're going to need to change them. If the car's unlocked, we'll have a quick look inside. One thing that a lot of people don't think about, especially when you're bidding online, is what does that car smell like? Because if it absolutely stinks of dog or it absolutely stinks of cigarettes, then it's going to be a real problem to get rid of that. And sometimes you just can't. You just cannot, no matter what you do, how many kind of like air fresheners you chuck in there, how many times you wet vac it, you'll never get that smell out. It's not going to bother some people, but for most people it would. Luckily this one smells nice and clean. It's reasonably clean inside. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, but it's not far off from having a £20 valet at your local hand car wash, and it would be perfect for taking pictures and getting listed. So it all looks pretty good to me. If your car's open like this, and it's okay at this particular auction, I would also pop the bonnet, have a look under there. One thing you obviously can't be doing is messing with anything too much, you know, leaving anything in a worse state than when you found it. But most places are not going to mind you popping off your cap, checking that, which all looks pretty good to me. You'll be able to look at the coolant reservoir, see if that looks okay. Have a look inside, see if there's any signs of oil anywhere. Basically, think about anything that could cost you money on this car. Once you've bought it, try and rule that out. You're never going to be 100% sure because you don't get to drive the car, don't get to drive it a long time. So you just want to point out anything obvious that's going to make you want to stop from bidding on this car. Anything we've spotted now, we can add as a note on our auction catalogue or our list. I'll probably use our list, which is a little bit old school, but I always like to bring a pen with me, which I've lost. So we can make a note that obviously we got £45 worth of paintless dent removal to do. This car actually, I did take the key out of the key box and I fired it up. Sounds okay to me. There might be a slight exhaust leak, bit of a blow, but nothing drastic at all when there's no warning lights on the dashboard. So I'm not too worried on that front. We'll still try and check it out as it goes through, but other than that, once you've done all your checks, make sure you've done your vehicle score check because it's completely free. Next part is waiting for this to come through the auction and get in there and start bidding. So the auction started now. They're going to start bringing all these cars through. They're coming through the line, the drivers here. It's busy, it's exciting, it is fun. There are absolutely loads of traders here. Some people got different techniques when it comes to bidding. Some are going to hang around outside out here till their cars turn up. Some like to get themselves set up in the hall with a seat and they can watch all the action going on. The great thing about being here at G3 is they've got these huge screens so you can see everything that's going on. You've got your lot number, you've got your bids, you can see if there's bids coming in from online bidders, who you're bidding against. It's about to start getting really loud and exciting. What you need to make sure you do is when it comes around to bidding that you're ready, you know that car's coming, you're not rushed, you're not flustered, you can get in there, make sure that the auctioneer can see you when you want to make a bid and that you don't get carried away. So when it comes to our i20, I said I was going to bid up to 2,000. But realistically, we've now got that £45 paintless dent removal to do. I think I'm going to lower my bid to 1,900. I'm not too confident we're going to win it. This is something you need to be aware that if the figures don't add up, there's no sense in buying the car. Don't buy it for the fun of it. We've set £1,900 as our limit now, and I will stop dead at that. It's really easy to get carried away, an extra 100, extra 200. But then if you do that and the car turns out to be not so great, you're going to be really upset. So find a budget and definitely stick to it.
12, 13 at 14 at the centre, 14 bar line, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 2 big, 2 big, now 2 big now, everybody down this side.
We haven't had a chance to get in yet and it's gone past our limit.
Then 2 big, 1 big, 21 big, 50, 2 more, 50 big, 2 big, 2 with a 2, 2 with a 2, 2 with a 2, 2 with a back there with a 2, 2. Same at 22 with 1, twice,
£2,200. So that was £300 more than we were willing to spend. Right, to do a bit of quick maths, remember that went for £2,200. I'm going to guess that the fees on that, they might be slightly under, but let's say about £400. So £2,600. It's going to need 45 at least for that. I think it'd be fair to say it wants a couple £100. So let's say it's £2,800. Well, the retail for that was $3,588. So in an ideal world, you would sell it for $4,000, you would have £1,200 gross profit, but out of that would come 16.67%, well, more than out of, in fact, between the 2,600 or whatever it was for the bid price plus the fees, you'd pay 16.67% in VAT. So it's going to whittle it down to, let's say, £700 or £800, and then mind your overheads and things like that. So it's not really a lot of money to work with. It sounds like a lot, but when you're running a business, it's not. So that's why it's all important to make sure you do your research, don't overcommit. It's easy to get caught up and excited when you're in the auction, but try to stick to it. There are plenty of other cars here, and that's why it always pays to have a good few on your list, because you're not always going to get the one that's top of your list. Sometimes you need to buy some that are further down the list, but still do you well. If you found that useful or you enjoyed it, make sure you like and subscribe. And don't forget to check out our main channel where there are loads of videos where I'm actually actively buying stuff at auctions. And don't forget to check out Vehicle Score. You can use a discount code of mine, ShiftingMetal20, and you will get 20% off of one of your checks, helping you make better choices when it comes to buying cars. That is it. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.